Ladies and gentlemen, from the Buffalo Run Casino in Miami, Oklahoma, this is Shobox, the new generation.
And nobody gonna give you nothing for nothing. You gotta work for what you get.
You gotta get them shots off. Left hook, right hand.
Both hands up, both hands up. Let's go. Go out there, focus on the job that has to be done.
This is what it takes to be champ. This is what it takes right here, baby.
Opportunity only knocking once. Let's go.
Tonight on Shobox, the new generation. We're at Buffalo Run Casino in Miami, Oklahoma. 4 emerging prospects put their futures on the line. Who moves up? Who falls back? We'll soon find out in a boxing doubleheader on Showtime. Hello again, everybody. I'm Nick Charles, and welcome to the show. We have a 2-fight card tonight that we believe represents everything Shobox is about. Here's the deal. 4 genuine prospects matched tougher than they've ever been. High stakes, high reward for all 4, because whoever gets it done tonight in front of a national television audience could emerge as a solid contender tomorrow morning. Let me bring in my broadcast partner and pal, Steve Farhood, to talk about this truly exciting doubleheader. We have been waiting for this one, Steve. Let's talk main event first. Sechew Powell's making his 4th Shobox appearance. We've seen progress, we've seen promise from him, but he has never faced the kind of danger that he's going to be looking at in the presence of Archak TerMeliksetian tonight.
Nick, after I watched the movie Jaws, I was scared to go back into my bathtub, much less the ocean. Sechew Powell is too young to have seen that movie, which is why he's willing to take on the shark attack of Archak TerMeliksetian. Powell has fought tougher and tougher opposition, but I promise you one thing, tonight he's facing the most intimidating opponent of his career. Now, Sechew Powell has grown up on Shobox. He's getting better with each fight. He's a well-schooled southpaw, and he's shown the ability to win by boxing or by blowing away his opponent. But there's been some vulnerability, or to put it another way, the shark smells blood. Powell's been dropped in 2 of his last 5 fights, and Archak is going for the KO. If Powell survives tonight, he'll be a fight or 2 away from the top 10. The shark is Archak TerMeliksetian, who doesn't watch tapes of his opponents because his strategy never changes. Asked how he's going to fight Powell, Archak answered with one word: attack. Early in his career, Archak was so cocky, he didn't need confidence building, he needed confidence reduction. He got that when he lost to Nurhan Suleiman. Now he's facing the crossroads. Win, and he's once again a feared prospect. Lose, and he's just another fish out of water.
2 fighters with knockout power and high aspirations meet in our 10-round junior middleweight main event later in the hour. First, though, a showdown at super middle, and you can hear the crowd getting stoked for this one. Jaidon Codrington and Allan Green each puts his unbeaten record on the line and about scheduled for 8 rounds. Codrington and Green, Steve, as you know, have been talking trash, have made this thing a grudge battle from the moment this match was made. This is a genuine rivalry. It's apparent, and it's really understandable because given the value of a win tonight, the pressure on both these guys is enormous.
Nick, when I heard that Jaidon Codrington, after only 9 fights, was willing to take on Allan Green, I said no way. And when I heard Allan Green was willing to take on Codrington, such a hyped prospect, I said no way. You know what? Way. They've been eyeing each other since they were National Golden Glove champs together. Even the promoters have gotten into it. They have a side bet. And I'll tell you what, the winner is probably the best 168-pound prospect in the country. These 2 fighters are not lacking for confidence.
I'm so confident that if I bet $100 on myself, I won back 160, so I wouldn't move my whole check away. Put your money where your mouth is, Allan Green.
He's in way over his head. He's fought guys who are 154 pounds, slow guys who have about a 200 million to 1 chance of beating him. He's never really been in the ring with a live guy. So come fight time, when he gets in there with Allan Green, he'll find out that his whole career he's been out of touch with reality, and he's going to be in a world of shock.
Is attitude destiny? We'll find out who the stepping stone is here tonight, Green or Codrington. Let's meet both of them. Super middleweights now. Jaidon Codrington, National Golden Gloves champion from Bridgeport, Connecticut. He fights now out of Queens, New York, turned pro a year and a half ago. Codrington's only 21 years old. He's fought almost exclusively in the Northeast, where he's caused a stir of excitement because of his KO ability. Codrington fights with intensity. He's got power. He's won all his 9 professional fights by stoppage or KO. He's still developing, of course, but he already oozes confidence, as you heard moments ago. Steve, what do you see behind the numbers of Jaidon Codrington?
Well, Nick, Jaidon's been acing his tests. In his last 3 bouts, Codrington has met increasingly tougher opposition. The results? KO2, KO1, and KO5. That's why he's moving up in class yet again. Solid pedigree. With only 9 pro fights and 22 rounds of experience, it's easy to conclude that Codrington is being rushed. But he has tons of top-level amateur experience. And round shot. In his brief pro career, Codrington has stopped all 9 of his opponents virtually when he wanted to. But if Codrington has to go long, will he get frustrated or run out of gas?
Well, Allan Green's also unbeaten and the local favorite here tonight. He's from nearby Tulsa, Oklahoma, and won a National Golden Gloves championship the same year Codrington did, but he did it at the higher weight of 178 pounds. They're fighting now at 168 tonight. Unlike his opponent tonight, Green turned pro immediately after winning the gloves. We featured him this past May when he took on Smith in the same ring. Green dominated the fight wire to wire. He boxed and moved effectively, landed the harder shots, controlled the pace and distance, and that is critical for him. The fight was stopped in the 7th round when Smith suffered 2 gashes as a result of head clashes, and Green won a unanimous technical decision. In his last fight in August, Green won a 10-round unanimous decision to boost his record to 17-0 with 11 knockouts. Steve, take us behind Allan Green's numbers.
Well, Green's not so green, Nick. Experience favors him. He's fought 67 rounds as a pro to just 22 for Codrington, and his opponent's winning percentage is higher than the winning percentage of Codrington's opponents. Going long, Green's been past 6 rounds on 3 different occasions, and in his last fight, he went 10. Codrington has never been past 5. Advantage Green. And okay is okay. More than half of Green's bouts have come here in his home state of Oklahoma, and he'll be energized by the crowd. Again, advantage Green.
And this crowd is set for a shootout between 2 young, unbeaten super middleweight guns. Jaidon Codrington and Allan Green get ready to get it on here in Miami, Oklahoma. Let's go down to ring announcer Pat Harker.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Buffalo Run Casino here in Miami, Oklahoma for Shobox, the next generation. This bout is brought to you by Dash DeBella Promotions and DeBella Entertainment in association with Tony Holden Productions, the Connecticut Defenders, Connecticut's hometown team, and Showtime. Tonight's bouts are sanctioned by the Oklahoma Professional Boxing Commission. Chairman Danny Hodge, Executive Director Joe Miller. Introducing to you the 3 judges scoring ringside: Jerry Griffin, Leo Johnson, and Oren Schellenberger. And the referee, Gerald Ritter. This bout is scheduled for 8 rounds of boxing in the super middleweight division. Presenting first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black trunks with gold trim and weighing in at 167 pounds, he is undefeated in 17 fights, 17 wins, no losses, with 11 wins coming by way of knockouts. From Tulsa, Oklahoma, please welcome Allan Sweetness Green. And fighting out of the blue corner, wearing blue trunks and weighing in at 167 pounds, and entering the ring with a perfect record, 9 wins in 9 fights, all by knockout, from Bridgeport, Connecticut, now fighting out of Queens, New York. He is the second half of the Chin Checkers, Jaidon, the Dawn Codrington.
Back up, please. Okay, fighters, we're scheduled for 8 rounds, which obey my commands. Protect yourself at all times. Let's have a good, clean fight. Keep your punches up. Come out fighting at the bell.
Both these fighters, as you can see, exceptionally tall for this weight class. Codrington, probably 2 or 3 pounds heavier now in the ring. He's probably about, I'd say, 175.
ABC rules apply and include no 3 knockdown, no standing 8, can't be saved by the bell in any round, and only the referee, Gerald Ritter, could stop the fight. We are getting it going here, 8 rounds, and really or less. Allan Sweetness green, black and gold, and in the blue, Jaidon Codrington hasn't hit double digits as a pro, but 9 out of 9 all KOs. And here's Green. He promised to go inside, and he's stung, and he has rocked Codrington's world in left. And it's over. Over in 18 seconds. Allan Green shocks the world.
Nick, he said he'd be aggressive from the start. I didn't believe him. He proved what he said he meant.
He absolutely devoured the New Yorker, Jaidon Codrington, on the ground. Now let's listen in.
We're going to take care of him, too.
Chaos, they need the doctors there, and they're getting them and attending them to Jaidon Codrington, who looks seriously hurt here.
Nick, it's such a disgrace when a fighter is in need of medical care like Codrington. Look at him. And 400 people are in the ring. It's absolutely absurd. There should be better control.
Get out. Get out.
Gerald Ritter trying to keep the crowd at bay.
Need to get these people out of here. Get this man out of here. It's okay, man. Doctor, let the dog out. What do you need? Get these guys out of here, man. They're laying all over. Move back. Get out of here, man. We're trying to help him. We're trying to help him.
Now security, and there's a full-scale rumble in the ring. Much of Codrington's gym came from Brooklyn here, and this is a bad showing for their fallen teammate. And the important central figure here is still lying on his back. They're taking the mouthpiece out of Jaidon Codrington. He never knew what hit him.
Get some action on him right away.
Move back. Okay, right now. Somebody go to the front car and get the heat.
Hey, back up! Back up, I'm going to get the guy. Touch it. Get out of there.
Here we go, got a bag.
All right, we're cool.
Hey,
Move back. Get out of the way.
No. Stay still. Get out of the way. Stay still on him right now.
hey, you got a nasal airways?
It's in that blue bag, Tracy.
Stay down.
What's it colored on? Yes.
Stay down.
Well, the guarded good news is that Codrington wants to get up.
We don't need to.
Stay down. No. Stay down. He's all right. He's going to be okay.
Jay. You're clear. Yeah, he's good. He's doing good. Jay.
It's okay.
Jason, get him in the truck.
our truck, all right?
Going with you.
I know, man.
Going with you. I love you, man. That's it. I love you, Jay. I love you, Jay.
Bring his hips up.
I love you, Jay.
I got him. Unstrap
I love you, Jay.
It's okay, bub. It's okay.
Hey, give me your scorecard.
Get back.
Jay, easy, Jay, easy.
Sit down.
Easy, Jay, easy.
What's his name? What's his name? Jaidon. What's his name?
Easy, Jay. Relax, Jay. Relax, Jay. Relax. Relax, Jay. Come on together. Let's give him the heart.
Well, Kyle needs to plug it in.
Jay, just stay. Jay, just on his arm. Yo, you can't shut that camera off, dog. You can't shut that camera off. Yo, have some respect, dog. Hey, yo, have some respect, dog. Have some respect. Please. No. Have some, have some fucking respect. Jay. Yo, have some Who are you? I'll get your phone.
Well, and here, chaos breaking out again. They want the cameras away, but
Anybody that cares about Jaidon Codrington should get the hell out of the ring.
They're doing no good. They've got medical people in there. We are cautiously optimistic that they have not certainly pronounced him well, but have indicated that he's going to be okay. Obviously, it was frightening. A lot of bravado being spoken by the Codrington camp. Humiliating, but nonetheless, seriously frightening for the man, and that should be paramount.
Yeah, and the last punch he took, Nick, when he was pinned against the ropes, his hands were down, he got hit flush, and he just went limp right from that shot.
Don't move, Jay. Don't move.
We're informed that Jaidon Codrington's eyes are open. He's attempting to talk.
You can get in his ear and tell him to lay still. Lay still. Hold his arms still, lay perfectly still is what we need him to do. Lay perfectly still is what we need you to do.
That's right there.
On the board, but get out of the board.
Lay perfectly still. Jay, easy, baby. Okay, it's gotta be this way. It's gotta be this way. Come on, Jay. It's gotta be this way.
Hey, Robin. I got ALS coming, so
Just lay perfectly still.
So Jaidon Codrington is conscious. Of course, we can only surmise that he always has been, but he was definitely out in terms of this fight before he even was in it. He never knew what hit him, Steve.
Yeah,
18 seconds, it was over.
And I can tell you this from having, unfortunately, so much experience in these kind of things in boxing, that if they felt in any way, shape, or form that he had to be rushed to the hospital for anything, he would have been out of this ring by now. And the fact that he hasn't been rushed into the ambulance, which of course is required at every fight in the United States, the fact that he was not taken immediately to an ambulance is a very positive sign.
And the good news is that he is, I think the number one thing they have to do now is keep him still and clear that ring. And now we see him being helped through the ropes along the apron.
Perfectly still is what we need you to do.
All right, guys, we're clear to move.
Just lay perfectly still.
Wow, they've braced his neck and immobilized his head.
This is for your own safety. Just keep your head down. For your own safety. We need to check you out, okay?
The fans, I'm looking at the faces here, I'll tell you, they're just stunned. Absolutely stunned.
All right. It was a shocking display from the opening bell as Allan Green charged out of his corner and launched a ferocious assault on Jaidon Codrington. Let's watch. It's the only punch that seemed to miss. Left hook started it.
And watch the gloves drop.
Oh, that's a frightening, frightening scene.
Well, Green misses that left hook, but he catches Codrington. A nice counterpunch coming up in this exchange. There it is. It's high on the head, and you could see Codrington's eyes are not focused. He's out now. Instinct keeps his hands up, but a few more shots. And there's the left hook that absolutely devastated him. Fell down almost out of the ring.
You know, it wasn't any great surprise that Gerald Ritter stopped it, but thank God he just moved in as quickly as he did. And here it is absolutely apparent that Jaidon Codrington was out on his feet.
Oh, that last left hook, Nick. Codrington was defenseless. And worse yet, his hands were down. That's why he got hit flush on the chin. And right now, the victory for Green, a great victory for him, but more importantly, the health of Jaidon Codrington.
Right, it's muted, but Allan Green moves to 16-0, and Jaidon Codrington suffers his first loss in a frightening manner. Let's go up to Pat Harker.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for our winner. A big KO, 18 seconds of the first round for Allan Sweetness Green.
First of all, I'm going to go on record to say something. I hope the young man is all right, because I respect fighters and I love all fighters. I hope this guy comes out okay. And second of all, buy your cars from Charlie Cheek Auto Mall in Miami, Oklahoma.
Well, I don't really want to comment. I don't think the second part was necessary.
The second part cheapened the first part.
Yeah, it really diminished the concern that Allan Green spoke of for his fallen victim. And we will be, of course, watching the medical progress of Jaidon Codrington, who was taken out of the ring on a stretcher, vanquished after 18 blinding seconds here in Miami, Oklahoma. The winner, Allan Green, as decisive as it comes. And coming up next here on Shobox, Sechew Powell's unbeaten, but can he stay that way? Hard-hitting Archak, TerMeliksetian thinks not. It's Powell against TerMeliksetian in a junior middleweight class scheduled for 10 rounds or less. A reminder that boxing's in the spotlight again tomorrow night here on Showtime. We've got another explosive doubleheader featuring Jeff Lacey's fourth title defense when he takes on rugged Scott Pemberton on Showtime Championship Boxing. Steve Albert caught up with Lacey this week.
The most exciting moment in boxing, if not all sports, is the knockout punch. And tomorrow night, Showtime delivers 2 title fights featuring 4 knockout specialists. Joining us now is the star of these festivities, power punching super middleweight champ Jeff Left Hook Lacey. And Jeff, your opponent, Scott Pemberton, like you, a big puncher. What type of fight are you expecting?
Oh, I think it's going to be a very exciting fight for the boxing fans, my boxing fans and his boxing fans. And it's going to be 2 guys coming forward and with punching power. I mean, that makes it a spectacular fight.
How do you adapt your style to a power puncher like Scott Pemberton?
Well, being that he's tall, I like tall, lanky, hard punchers because that gives me a chance to get inside and really work my strengths and take his away because usually taller fighters, they can't punch in the inside. So I'm going to work that.
Are you looking to make a statement? In other words, looking to take him out early?
Of course, being that the two styles that's meeting in the ring, there's a very good chance of it not making 12 rounds.
All right, Jeff, thanks for joining us. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Jeff Left Hook Lacey will be expecting a pair of hard-hitting, action-packed fights. It's Rafael Marquez versus Silence Mabuza and Jeff Left Hook Lacey versus Scott Pemberton tomorrow at 9 p.m. on Showtime Championship Boxing.
And so Lacey hopes to make it a short and spectacular evening tomorrow night on Showtime Championship Boxing. Steve, I want to talk about this fourth title defense of Jeff Lacey. Scott Pemberton's a puncher, but I don't think he outslugs Jeff Lacey. Can he, as he's been talking about, outbox the champion?
Nick, the fighters who have done best against Jeff Left Hook Lacey have been the fighters who have stood there and fought him. Omar Sheikh, Donnell Wiggins, Sid Vanderpool. Pemberton's a puncher. By talking about boxing, I get the impression he's happy just to get the title fight. If he wants to win the title fight, be a puncher. Go for the knockout. Maybe you get knocked out in doing so. At least you give yourself a chance to win.
So it's a Showtime Championship boxing doubleheader coming up from Lake Tahoe, Nevada tomorrow night when Jeff Lacey makes the fourth defense of that super middleweight title against Scott Pemberton. Also a dynamite bantamweight matchup between IBF champ Rafael Marquez and unbeaten Silence Mabuza. And also on that show, the premiere of a new segment. It's called Ask Al. Expert analyst Al Bernstein will answer boxing-related questions submitted to our website. Yeah, I hope they're boxing-related. Join in on the interactive experience. Log on to askal.show.com and post your question. Al may answer it live on the air. All this and more tomorrow night on Showtime Championship Boxing, 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. In the meantime, Shobox, the new generation, is coming to you tonight from the Buffalo Run Casino in Miami, Oklahoma. We talked about this highly anticipated doubleheader, and the first fight was sensational and frightening. Sellout crowd settling in now for the main event. We will, of course, keep you updated on the progress of Jaidon Codrington. But the main event has unbeaten Sechew Powell against power-hitting Archak, TerMeliksetian in a 10-round junior middleweight bout. Nick Charles with Steve Farhood ringside, and as ready as you are for this main event action. Steve, we've seen Sechew Powell lots of times on Showbox, sure. 3 in fact, seen him outbox people, seen him display raw punching ability. Archak, TerMeliksetian, is a heavy hitter. It's only been 6 rounds though, so you add this all up, would it seem, I'm asking you, best for Powell to try to extend this fight?
Yeah, I think that's probably the way he's going to go. You know, if he decides to try to back up Archak, he might win this fight very easily, but by doing so, he's, in essence, putting his head in the lion's mouth. That's a little dangerous, and you don't know what the result would be. I have a feeling he'll box, as you suggest, in the second half of the fight. He'll turn it up and come on.
Be interesting to watch Sechew Powell as we get a look at him first. His 4th Showbox appearance, we've seen him survive some rocky moments. We've watched him dominate fights on our air. In his first Showbox appearance last summer, Powell had his world rocked when he took on veteran Grady Brewer. He got nailed by a combination and hit the deck for the first time as a pro. He survived and went on to win a highly controversial split decision. This past January, he dominated Patrick Thompson in every aspect. Powell moved well, flashed hand speed, strung together solid combos. He showed aggression, power, and fought with fire to win easily. Then in May, Powell took on Cornelius Bundridge, and we witnessed one of the most sensational moments in boxing. Both fighters went down simultaneously in the opening seconds. Both got up, and it was Powell who struck first with a left hand that finished the job. Oh, this one's over just 22 seconds after the opening bell. And since that unforgettable night on Showbox, Powell's TKO'd former interim world champion Santiago Samaniego in his last fight 10 weeks ago. Sechew Powell is now 17-0 with 11 KOs. Steve, what's behind the numbers?
Oh, is this the new Sechew? After winning 3 in a row on points, Powell has scored 2 quickie KOs, which came against his toughest opponents to date, Bundridge and Samaniego. Boxer or puncher, which is the real Sechew? Chin test. Powell's been down twice in his last 5 fights. Archak is a huge puncher. This could be a real test for Sechew's chin. And distance done. Powell's been 8 rounds twice, 10 rounds once. Typical of a puncher, Archak has never been past 6. Advantage Powell.
Archak TerMeliksetian was born in Armenia, moved to Brazil with his family when he was 12. He was a 4-time Brazilian national champion and says he knocked out 79 opponents in 107 amateur fights. Archak moved to the U.S., turned pro over 3 years ago. He suffered his only loss to 2-time Olympian Nurhan Suleiman, who was unbeaten as a pro at that time. 27-year-old Archak TerMeliksetian is a power-hitting, aggressive fighter. He's 15-1 now with a dozen knockouts. Steve, what do you see behind his numbers?
Well, Archak's been smashing southpaws. He's faced 2 lefties and quickly KO'd both of them. But those weren't real tests, Nick. Sparring with the likes of lefties George Khalid Jones and Sean Bay Mitchell should help. Busy Shark. From February through August of this year, Archak fought once a month. He's clearly regained the momentum he lost in getting beaten by Suleiman in 2004. A puzzling loss. After stopping Archak, Suleiman has lost 3 of 5. That doesn't reflect well on the Shark, but his manager says the loss forced Archak to refocus, which a young fighter sometimes needs to do.
Exactly. You know, we talked so much about this. Well, we'll talk a little more. We'll set it up. Sechew Powell risks his unbeaten record, says he has the skills and the experience to beat Archak TerMeliksetian, who vows to use that power and explosiveness to win a war. But Steve, just speaking a little bit more of this bout, as we see both fighters in the ring, interesting thing about this, talk strategy. TerMeliksetian, the fights I saw him look very green, very powerful. I think it's so critical that this guy sets up his power against Powell, who could outbox most people.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, Powell being a southpaw, that's added an added effect. But Archak has knocked out the subpar opposition he's faced. There's a little bit of bully to him until he proves otherwise. When he stepped up in class against Nurhan Suleiman, what happened? He couldn't land the big punch. He started backing up, and the fight was over. That's why I question whether Powell might try to take control of this fight very early. But by doing so, of course, he puts himself at risk. We do know Archak can punch, subpar opposition or not. He scored a lot of impressive knockouts, and he has 2 good hands to power punch with.
You know, both of these guys, one of the things they've suffered from is overexcitability a little bit. They get a little bit ahead of themselves. We've seen Powell flat out admit, in fact, to you, Steve, I remember after one fight that, hey, I got a little overexcited. And TerMeliksetian, they've been working on just getting him to relax in the ring. One of the intriguing things, never being past 6. You know, do you push the pedal? Do you try to stretch it out? Can't afford to give any rounds away early against a boxer.
You know what? Archak is going for the knockout, Nick. I mean, he's going to be pushing the pedal because
I agree.
He wouldn't take this fight unless he thought he could knock Powell out. And the fact of the matter is, right or wrong, he thinks Powell has a weak chin. Powell's been down a couple of times. The left hook that Grady Brewer put Powell down with didn't seem like that big a shot. Powell went down. Bundridge knocked him down. Of course, we forget about that because Powell, the double knockdown, and then Powell knocked Bundridge out. Basically knocked him out the way Tyson did Burbick. Knocked him down 2 or 3 times with 1 punch. So you forget about the fact that Powell has to prove he has a good chin. Give Powell credit for the fact that he's taken on a big puncher when at least the media has questioned Powell's chin.
Well, exactly, and with good reason, as you mentioned. We saw him go down against Brewer summer before last. But again, guys dealing with adversity, you know, you escape close shaves and you get beyond them, but you better learn from them. And it does seem that Powell fights. First time I ever saw Powell, I said, man, this guy is so aggressive. He looks so strong. And then later I said, no, he's definitely a boxer puncher. But it's all about knowing who you are. And obviously you try to work on the weaknesses, but you can't work on a weak chin. You just have to stay away from a power hitter once again. But I think it is critical. I like what Henry Cortez, who trains and manages Archak TerMeliksetian, says, hey, you know, I want TV guys. This is who I have. He's got to go for the KO. And there's no question. To me, he's not as skilled a boxer as Powell. He has fought lefties before, as you say, so that's going to help him a little bit. But in terms of experience, you really have to give it to Powell.
And Nick, I have to say, you haven't said Archak TerMeliksetian's name wrong once yet. I've said it wrong. I'm 2 for 2, and you've been perfect, which is impressive. But both of these guys, I think, focus better than they used to. You know, Powell, I'm very familiar with. He's a New Yorker. I've seen a lot of his fights in New York as he's coming up, and he didn't used to work that hard, to be honest with you. I used to hear reports from Gleason's when he trained there that he wasn't all that focused. He's a lot more focused now. He's had a change in trainers, and it seems to be working for him.
He also trains at the same gym Jaidon Codrington does in Brooklyn. And there's no question, I'm assuming he's got to be a little shaken by what he saw. And that's the reason for the delay. Of course, you've got to have a stretcher. You've got to have an ambulance here at ringside, and there is not one right now, as they have obviously taken Jaidon Codrington to a hospital. So we can't start the fight without an ambulance crew ready to go at ringside. So let's look at this first fight again. We told you how frightening it was and how explosive it was, and just see for yourself. Allan Green in the black and gold comes out and misses very few, and Jaidon Codrington never really landed a blow and never knew what hit him, Steve.
It's absolutely the brevity of the fight, Nick. I'm still in shock. It's as if I feel, when does the fight start? I mean, it's over. It's over so fast. Codrington wasn't going to get off those ropes. And Green told us yesterday, this is Allan Green, who's been at times, I don't want to say lethargic, but not particularly busy in fights, backed up in fights. He said to us yesterday, hey, this Codrington made a big mistake taking me. I'm going to be aggressive. You know what? He didn't take a backward step. He met Codrington close to Codrington's corner, and this was the end result of his attack. Allan Green never thought of as a puncher, and look what he did to a fighter. Boy, at this point, Nick, you have to say Codrington taking this fight in his 10th fight. I don't necessarily feel this, that I would have said this before the fight, but it was a mistake.
Ringside right now with an attending ringside physician, Dr. Allan Lovelace. Give us an update on Jaidon Codrington. David Lovelace.
When he was in the ring, he was out cold for probably at least 3 minutes, and we tried to get. The crowd was a big problem for us, trying to get him back on the backboard and stabilize his neck so we could send him to the hospital. But we finally got the crowd under control and kept him where he couldn't move so we could keep him stabilized, and check his neck. And he actually came to and wanted to get off the board, but we kind of insisted that he let us check him out. He finally decided he'd go ahead and go to the hospital and get checked out.
So he came through without any facilitation from you or any other ringside physician? He just came through?
Right. He was out cold, and then after about 3 or 4 minutes, he actually came to on his own.
And when you checked his neck, obviously, for vertebrae damage and such, and what goes on? What exactly? Can you get specific?
Well, since he was out cold, there's really nothing we can do to tell for sure without an x-ray. So we wanted to stabilize his neck and get him to the hospital and get him evaluated appropriately with x-rays. And probably a CAT scan of his head is probably what they're going to do.
Right. When you were watching this, did you know it was going to go as, I mean, it happened in such blinding fashion, but you were sitting here ringside and he was helpless in a moment, it seemed.
Yeah, it actually brought back bad memories from Allan Green's very first pro debut on Showtime. It was about 18 seconds in the first round of knockout. It wasn't quite as bad for the fighter to come around that quick, but it brought back bad memories.
Well, thank you, Dr. David Lovelace. Happy that you were ringside and attending.
I think he's going to do fine.
Once they cleared the smoke from the ring, and a lot of needless intrusion there, but emotions were really boiling over as well. And Sechew Powell, once again, Steve, to talk about that, and not to make too much of it, but was he shaken from this? He's got to put it past him. It's all about being a professional.
That's it. It's so difficult. And, you know, that's what focus is all about. And, you know, when he fought in Laughlin, Nevada on Shobox, the lights went out while he was in the ring, and there was a long delay. And that tested his focus. This is the second time it's happened to Sechew Powell. Obviously, drastically different circumstances this time, and you hope for his sake that his focus is there.
Well, we're about to see what happens because we're about to get started. Let's go back up to ring announcer Pat Harker.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, welcome to the Buffalo Run Casino here in Miami, Oklahoma. This next bout is brought to you by DeBella Entertainment in association with Main Events, Tony Holden Productions, the Connecticut Defenders, Connecticut's hometown team, and Showtime. Tonight's bouts are sanctioned by the Oklahoma Professional Boxing Commission, our chairman, Danny Hodge, the executive director, Joe Miller. Introducing the judges as appointed, Jerry Griffin, Gerald Ritter, and Oren Schellenberger, and the referee, Gary Ritter. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Showbox main event of the evening. 10 rounds of boxing in the junior middleweight division. Presenting first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing silver trunks and weighing in at 153 pounds. He enters the ring with a record of 15 wins, 1 loss, with 12 wins coming by way of knockout. Originally from Yerevan, Armenia, now fighting out of Fairview, New Jersey, Archak, the Shark Attack, TerMeliksetian. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing black trunks with white trim and weighing in at 154 pounds, He enters the ring with an unblemished record. 17 wins, no losses, with 11 of those wins coming by way of knockouts. From Brooklyn, New York, please welcome the Iron Horse, Sechew Powell.
Okay, gentlemen, you received your instructions earlier. I want a good, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands. Let me caution the fighters to keep your punches up. Touch your gloves. Let's have a good one.
You'd think that Archak, who's 4 inches taller, would have the longer reach, but that's not the case. Powell with the longer reach by an inch, and that should help him outbox Archak if that's the way he chooses to go.
And the unified rules of boxing again apply. And a big key here as we get ready to go, we see nothing out of the ordinary here. 8-ounce gloves, Steve, will be used, and that was by design. Archak TerMeliksetian had to weigh in at 54 or
54
less.
or lower,
He
right.
made it. He is a puncher. He wants the smaller gloves. 8 instead of 10, and they've got 8. And here's Powell. Looks a little bit in the danger zone. He's probing, and TerMeliksetian, big lead right hand, and that got Powell's respect. And look at Powell's eyes. Probe into the body. Really watching for those power punches of TerMeliksetian in the silver. Powell trying to gauge some distance. Not snapping that jab and not being aggressive. Very cautious in this first half minute.
Well, Archak wants to land that lead right.
And there's that right. He did, Steve. Perfect call.
Behind the jab, but that's always the favorite weapon against the southpaw.
There goes the big right hand again. Powell runs into TerMeliksetian, and man, he does look dangerous. He is taller than Powell. The reach, as you indicated, very close, though. TerMeliksetian, very wide stance, trying to close ground and cut off the ring from Powell. Now Powell begins to dial in those combinations. Avoids a right hand, gets poked with a right to the body. So TerMeliksetian varying his attack nicely, I think, Steve, in this opening minute, and Powell fighting cautiously.
Yeah, Archak's menacing because he's absolutely huge for the weight. I mean, a 6'2" junior middleweight is highly unusual, and he wants to get into a punching match.
We've seen Powell on the ropes before, and it's never a good place for him.
Box.
So they need Powell to get that jab going. You hear Al Mitchell in his corner imploring him, don't let TerMeliksetian set up.
Yeah, no, the jab would stop that forward progress of Archak.
And they almost get their feet
on each other, yeah.
Hey, lefty, righty, you know how it is.
Archak wants to keep that lead left foot outside of the southpaw's lead foot.
And he's doing it a little bit, but Powell's making it easy, not moving to the right. Powell very cautious, but his back is grazing the ropes again. Not a good place for him to be in as he slams a little left to the body of TerMeliksetian. TerMeliksetian cautious, his left hand is low. Now here comes that right as he puts up a blistering attack, and Powell wisely holds on.
Box.
Looks like Powell, though, hit him, but TerMeliksetian just kept coming.
Yeah, he answered.
And there's now Powell beginning to rev the engines. Moving forward for one of the few times in this fight. Now he'll back off a little bit. Good first round here. TerMeliksetian very much in control, and Powell cautious, but he gets slammed by a right.
Step back.
Bad sign that Archak's been able to move Powell so close to the ropes so often.
He's really cutting him off, Steve. We've completed one here in Miami, Oklahoma. This is our main event, 10 rounds or less.
The guy press on you, and you go to back. You go to road, the guy coming you down. What happened? Hey, stepping jab. The block is ocean side. You come long back. No good.
Give me the water,
okay?
coach.
No good back. The guy press on to you. You press on the guy same time. Pay attention. Pass it. Look in the guy. You hit good, right?
See.
Don't reach, baby.
Listen. He only trying the right hand. You understand what I'm saying, Sechew? Go to the right. And you're not using the jab. Remember we talk about use the jab, son. All right? Step around. And all your punches is
Lefties fight righties. Watch the feet. That's going to happen again and again. And you know when it's dangerous, a little punch happens, a guy's off balance, he goes down, it's a knockdown.
Yeah, it's a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah, tripping.
Well, they want Powell to move, and they want him to box again. And he's an excellent boxer. I don't know, he's just trying to feel out, see what TerMeliksetian has. And we know TerMeliksetian has power. And Sechew Powell has been down, but we again have seen him be devastating as a boxer and easily outclass people that way. He's just flicking that jab out there, though. Not really a shotgun, a little wide there, and he gets hit. TerMeliksetian on the way in. He landed a right and took a right. Beautiful counter by Sechew Powell.
Yeah, Powell has a nice right hook, unlike a lot of southpaws who have nothing but a left hand.
Box.
Good point.
But I tell you, this is a little bit of a chess match, Nick. Both guys are looking to counterpunch. Neither's being real busy because as soon as one punches, the other punches.
I got to tell you, I really like TerMeliksetian's balance for a big guy. You mentioned how tall he is. Nice right hand by him, and he comes back with a left behind it, but Powell makes him pay, countering.
Yeah, the best punches in this fight have all been counterpunches.
Yeah, and it's really, he's catching TerMeliksetian lunging a little bit. Now Powell takes the lead and pokes that jab in his face. Good move.
Yeah, and look at Archak's left hand. He's dropping it a little bit. These guys are almost identical in experience. The only difference, Archak keeps knocking people out, and that's why he's fought so fewer rounds than Powell.
Again, he has never been past 6. We're in the second, scheduled for 10. But Powell not just trying to dance around and make this a show and stay away and pile up points. He is willing to Archak TerMeliksetian, but cautiously. Very quick hands by Powell, and he displays them there, countering with a left to the belly. TerMeliksetian low, just hanging that shoulder out, flicking the jab. At least he's trying the jab against the left-hander. And Powell loves to throw that lead left to the body. That's when they think he's open for a counter right hand. But TerMeliksetian trying to
step back. Box.
Find those kind of openings when Powell commits first. TerMeliksetian just using that jab, just really a rangefinder, Steve. And just trying to close distance, isn't he?
Yeah, they're both waiting for mistakes, and in a fight like this, where counter punches are so significant and where they're really both in range most of the time, straight punches are critical. Powell throws straight shots. Archak does too. It's really not who punches harder, it's who punches at the right time.
Don't clinch, you can step out of the clinches. Box.
Oh, nice left by Powell as he drives. Makes Archak TerMeliksetian reset. Make him think twice. That's really what this is about, too. Before he could just have his way and think he could walk in.
Box.
You're right about the power. It's striking true, isn't it? Nice right hand from TerMeliksetian. And Powell says, bring it on.
Yeah, one problem for Archak I can see already. In trade, in exchanges, he drops his hand.
Time.
2 brisk rounds completed here in Miami. Oklahoma, that is.
Ahora, ¿qué está pasando con esas combinaciones?
What are you doing with those combinations?
Tenemos 8 rounds más, ¿ok? Combinación y suerte, ¿ok?
Throw your combinations, moves.
Cierra los ojos, tranquilo, y escucha. Solamente escucha. Escucha.
You need to listen.
No un puño, ¿ok?
Don't fall asleep on me, man.
Ahora, a la izquierda. Vamos a tocarlo con ese jab. Búscame el cuerpo con la
Throw your
derecha.
jabs.
Put
Move to the left.
Bien bajita para eso.
He's throwing his arms down too low. You're throwing your arm down too low.
Gancho.
You need to move. Keep steady, keep moving. Use your right hand.
That's a lot to absorb. You know, throw that jab, keep moving to the left, and then throw that right hand. But basically, stay busy and box them. Don't just go for the big home run shot, Steve. Oh, Powell. Ooh, dangerous dip there. Oh, double right hand and then a counter left from Powell as he ties up TerMeliksetian. Steve Key, you said about dropping his hands, and you're right. Let's watch if Powell could. Oh, Powell takes one, not flush, but a big right hand, and now he ties up again. And TerMeliksetian muscles him and roughs him up.
But a nice move by Powell, spinning off the ropes instead of staying there. That was key there.
And now it's some free swinging here going on from both guys. And TerMeliksetian looks very awkward.
Well, Powell gets real low sometimes, and Archak's punches go over his head.
Powell trying to step back, be more, give him more angles.
Punch out of the clinch. Punch out. Your hands are free.
But Steve, I don't think he's stepping around as much as he should to make TerMeliksetian reset. And TerMeliksetian's a little bit quicker than I had figured.
Punch out. Your hands are free. Keep punching. Let go.
He's a
Let
great
go.
mover,
Stop.
but
Right.
he can move.
Back up. Back up. Box.
He's been thus far at least equally as quick as Sechew. And I think Archak's fighting very much under control. Nick, this is a guy who's blown out a lot of subpar opponents. Now he's fighting a much better fight, and he's fighting under control, nice pace, and within himself.
And now he'll shorten up, or try to shorten up inside, and he catches Powell on the run and has him on the ropes again.
Punch out.
So,
low blow. Keep your punches up.
And it was a low blow. And Gerald Ritter caught it. And now, some bruising body action on both parts.
Stop, break. Punch out of the clinches. Your hands are free. Box.
Follow short with the jab a couple of times. And TerMeliksetian, you could just see him begin to load up.
If this were the older Archak, I'd say, Nick, 3 rounds, he hasn't knocked this guy out yet. He's going to lose, but there's no sign that he's blowing everything he's got and that he's going to fade late.
You're so right. It's hard to take your eyes off. Now he gets clocked with a sweeping right hand from Powell, and Powell just taking his time, not getting ahead of himself as they exchange punches, but single shots there. Now Powell doing a lot more turning, it seems, Steve.
That's, yes,
more
angles. He needs to do.
TerMeliksetian closing it off very nicely as he cuts the ring off. Goes to work before the bell.
Fly inside, no problem. You pass and touch the guy combination. You the best. Pass and touching the guy, right? Pass and touching the guy. You in the road, walking inside, walking inside.
Cuando está tirando, está abierto.
You're throwing punches. He's getting open.
¿Entiendes? No están parados.
Don't throw so much low blows.
La derecha baja otra abajo, ¿verdad? Está poniendo un chupito bajito. Levántalo con el open.
Throw some uppercuts as he's moving. Throw some uppercuts.
Como estaba haciendo. Toca.
Just like you've been doing.
Boom.
Keep it in your body. Go to the body strong.
I got it. Relax, brother. Look at that towel.
Let's go, Sechew. Back up. Please,
That's the adage. You go to the body and take Powell's legs away, huh, Steve?
Well, in that third round, Nick, they both punched to the body pretty much for the first time in the fight. Archak did a little more work to the body. That could be critical for both guys because, remember, Archak is new to go in 10 rounds.
Really is. Oh, nice lead. There's the right hand by Powell. Now he's connecting, but not strictly headhunting, varying his attack nicely there as he goes to the body there with the left. Now flicking that right hand out once and again and trying to drive TerMeliksetian back, but TerMeliksetian with that straight right.
Break, listen. Punch out of the clinches, your hands are free. Box.
So after 3, Steve, how do you have it?
I have a 2-1 for Archak, 29-28.
It could mean that Powell's playing catch-up, but again, he has learned patience. Still looking to create those openings, and again, if he would move, it might make this slugger look a little more awkward, Steve.
Powell's starting to use a little bit more lateral movement, turning Archak, and you know what? Archak's left hand this whole round has been down by his Everlast sign on his waistband, and that's why Powell's landing right hooks.
That's strange. They want to move him to his left.
Stop. No, knockdown. No knockdown. Come here. Box.
I think Archak slipped on the that Holden Promotions pillow there.
Oh, yeah, your favorite.
Yeah, I've complained about that before.
I have to say the Ritter brothers do a good job here in Oklahoma. Gary Ritter officiating this one. The referee just jumps on top and has had complete control of this fight. But he hasn't had to break him up much. Good, solid action. Nice left hand by Powell. And that seemed to wake up and stir TerMeliksetian, who now, see if he could shorten up. He's got Powell on the ropes, and Powell wisely gets off and hangs on.
Your hands
First
are
2
free,
minutes.
gentlemen. You can punch. Box.
First 2 minutes of this round that could have been the best in the fight, I believe, for Powell. He's landed right hooks, he's landed some jabs flush. It's premature to say that Archak is slowing down, but you know that Powell's counting on that happening.
I agree with you completely, Steve. Powell's been very patient in this fight, not certainly giving away rounds, but cautiously trying to see what this guy has. Now there, TerMeliksetian trying to land the uppercut, but he seems to arm punch when he doesn't shorten up inside well, Steve. It's observation. And here Powell making him pay here, trying to drive him back. So it looks like TerMeliksetian likes that full extension.
Punch out.
Yes, he needs the full extension, and if Powell's on the ropes, Archak should not make the mistake of falling in with him and fighting on the inside. He gives away his advantages.
So he should step back a little bit.
Exactly.
Measure him, huh? Closing out the fourth. This one is zipping by here in Miami, Oklahoma.
Time.
Shobox is back in 2 weeks for the Battle of New Englanders. Chad Dawson of New Haven, Connecticut will try to stretch his undefeated record in front of the hometown fans when he faces Ian Gardner of Brockton, Mass. in a 12-round super middleweight main event. Join us for the next edition of Shobox, the new generation, Friday, November 18th at 11 p.m. Eastern and Pacific.
Nice deep breath, baby. Mira, está tu more pause. Never pause. Sí. Y move it around. No boxing. Yeah. That's all. Okay?
And Sechew, you're underusing.
The key for Sechew Powell is turning his man. Look at the distance he's at. And then he steps back. It's tough for Powell because by being close enough to hit Archak, of course, he's in range for Archak's power shots, too.
Back up, yeah. Back up, back up, back up.
I'm a little surprised he's not utilizing his jab more, Powell.
Box.
And working off that. Let's see if it happens.
Well, it'd be a good punch to use more and more because A, he will stop some of Archak's forward progress, and B, Archak's left hand is so low, you'd think that jab would have a place to land.
Yeah, it's the kind of technique that Powell, I think, needs to generate his most effective offense. He's not a one-punch gun by any means. He's a combination puncher. He really takes some risks here with this big guy.
They butted heads.
Time. You're all right. You're all right. Time in. Box.
Now Powell walking in behind the jab. But the much taller TerMeliksetian, not too easy to hit with that. The jab having a trajectory upwards against the much taller man.
Yeah, that's where the reach doesn't come into play, but the height does.
Yeah.
If you're trying to hit the guy on the chin, you need the step ladder to do it.
Right. Look, and he got flushed and driven back there. See if that rocked him at all. Oh, yes. TerMeliksetian says bring it on, but he's backing off. He wants to make this a slugfest on the ropes, perhaps, but he got hit twice.
He did. And it's very important for Powell, if Archak backs out, get in real close or stay way out.
Yeah, exactly. And Powell threading the needle now. Now he's back in the center of the ring. Let's see if he'll move and turn as Archak TerMeliksetian comes on like a charging bull. He was stung here in the fifth round.
Get your arm away. Stop, break. Step back.
And we're really seeing Sechew Powell advance as a prospect. He got pinned to the ropes there. First thing he did, grabbed his man. Shows us that's a sign of maturity.
Absolutely. I like his patience in this fight, Steve, so far. But again, TerMeliksetian is a dangerous hombre here. He's in the fifth, never been past six. Looks like he could be it definitely looks like the more fatigued fighter, but he's not stepping on his tongue again, as we say, by any means. But Powell doing exactly what he needs to do, stretch him out.
Yeah, it's not that Archak is that tired. He's not breathing heavy. I'm watching him between rounds, but he's not particularly busy during the round.
Right. And the sign of a prospect coming of age is to increase the pressure as the fight gets deeper. And let's see if that'll be possible for the Armenian. Now he steps up the intensity, and now it rattles Powell, it seems, with a good combination, but Powell very smoothly counters and spins away. Middle of the ring. Powell, the man closing distance now. He looks very much in control, but very aware of the power in both fists from Archak TerMeliksetian. Powell wraps him with a combination as we approach the halfway mark of this fight here in Miami, Oklahoma. We'll stare down and talk down before the bell, and the crowd's getting into this one.
You got to start working.
Ahora, cuando estamos entrando, vamos en esto, papá, ¿ok? Vamos a la izquierda, a evitar la izquierda de él, ¿ok? ¿Cómo estamos? ¿Estamos bien? Tenemos 5 más.
The last 2 rounds have been the best for Sechew Powell so far. Steps in nicely with a right-left again. Why did those shots land? Archak's hands are low. And for the first time in the fight, in this 5th round right here, which you're seeing, Archak backed up to the ropes. That's what he's trying to get Powell to do. Waves Powell in, but that's just bravado.
Right. Ill-advised, too. Really like Powell's left hand. And what's so effective, Steve, of course, he leads with it there, but when he works behind the jab, even more so. Because, as you said, TerMeliksetian is not the busier guy, and he's got to get busy, as his corner just indicated. This fight could be slipping away. He certainly has lost the momentum he had earlier, but now he's coming on big and has Powell against the ropes. Little infighting here, but boy, little arm punches. Now he's trying to measure and line up Powell, almost holding and hitting. Powell content to lay on the ropes, absorbing shots to the ribs. And TerMeliksetian trying to unzip him. Now Powell just laying in the woods a little bit as he gains his momentum and is content to slug with the seemingly bigger man. Remember, 8-ounce gloves is what TerMeliksetian wanted, and they've got some puncher's gloves in there.
When Powell's on the inside, he's got to watch out for Archak's uppercut. But Archak has to watch out for Powell countering that uppercut, because it's the easiest punch in boxing to counter.
Right. Actually, it's Powell wearing the Grant gloves, which are not as much a puncher's glove as the Everlast. Huh? Should Powell be standing there at all? Is there any reason for it, Steve?
You know, he's letting Archak punch himself out a little bit. In that sense, it's a good idea. He's trying to play, it's your turn, it's my turn. But he was doing so well in ring center, I don't know why he doesn't just go back there.
Right, getting hit a little bit, brush to the ribs as TerMeliksetian attacks the body, probing, stings him with a left hook. Powell drives a left hand and stuffs it in the face and draws blood now as TerMeliksetian bleeding from the right nostril, the result of that heavy left hand from Sechew Powell. Powell trying to dial in again. A little wide with the punches, but they're still hitting their mark, Steve. Grazing blows, but they're doing enough damage to pile up points.
Stop, break, step back, both fighters, box.
You get the impression at this point, Nick, that Sechew thinks he has his man.
Yeah.
He's being more aggressive. He's letting Archak punch as if he doesn't fear Archak's power anymore. Maybe a mistake.
TerMeliksetian has been 6 twice. 3 times actually, but never beyond that, and we are almost out of the 6th. TerMeliksetian blasting away, but not getting that kind of leverage he does often from outside. There, just throwing a couple of shots without much to them.
Good, pero more busy, no problem, right? The guy is not out.
Strategy in round 6 by Powell, letting Archak do all the punching. Do these shots land? Well, you see there's not much on a lot of these shots, but where Archak was successful is when he punched to the body. Those baby shots aren't counting for much, but those left hooks sure do. Again, left hook outside of the right elbow of Powell. And then late in the round, Powell comes back a little bit. Powell landed the cleaner shots in round 6, but I'll tell you, Archak was awfully busy, the busiest he's been yet. Tough round to score.
You go to the right,
well, how do you have it, Steve?
57-57, I gave Archak that round.
Wow. We head to the 7th here. It's scheduled for 10. Steve, TerMeliksetian, Powell was aware of 2 dangerous things about him. That left hook when he's in close, it makes sense. That's closer to the chin of Powell, and that right from afar. But he's got to start boxing his way in, working off that jab, and now we see him with his hands high for the first time in a while, making it more difficult. Oh, but Powell threads the needle again with that left hand, and that has been his big punch in this fight. Powell displaying good combination punching as he begins to string those shots together.
When they're in close, be very, it would serve Powell very well to punch more to the body.
Hands are free, punch out.
It's very important that Archak gets tired for Powell to be successful. 7 rounds or more. Hey, we're in round 7. Archak's never been there.
What do you think of Powell's defense, Steve?
When he's moving to the side, it's real good. And his hands, he has to keep his hands up. Right now, they're low.
What about TerMeliksetian? He knows it's pretty close. What can he sharpen up and do better?
Well, you said it yourself. He started this round with his hands higher. That's big.
Stop,
and he's got to get busy. He's had good success when he's pinned Powell against the ropes. If he can, and by being busy, he'll do that more.
Now he resets, and Powell waiting to make his move. He jumps in with that lead left hand that's been effective as well.
Big improvement by Archak. When he fought Nurhan Suleiman, he couldn't get the quick KO. He fell apart. He looked like a bully that just didn't get his way. This fight, he stayed under control. He's weathered the tough moments. He's still in the fight.
He really is. A little sloppy there, though. He just hasn't been accurate when he's had his shots at Powell, and Powell has been on the counter, clocking him with regularity after TerMeliksetian's attack. Let's see if he does it again here. There it is. But now Archak returns favor and muscles Powell towards the rope.
Stop, 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 stop.
And Gerald Ritter breaks him, or Gary Ritter, I should say. Why do I mix these twins up?
Everybody does. You know what? Sechew Powell's proven over 6+ rounds that he's got better mobility and better upper body movement. When they're on the inside like this, neither one of those things come into play very much.
No question. You're right, Steve. Powell just looks like he's just controlling this fight, and even at times not controlling distance. And here comes TerMeliksetian trying to close the gap once more.
Time.
More boxing coming your way tomorrow night here on Showtime.
America's Fight Night is on Showtime on the first Saturday of every month. Tomorrow, it's the most powerful, most dominant fighter in the super middleweight division. Undefeated champion Jeff Lacy. Now he makes his 4th title defense against the #1 contender, Scott Pemberton. Jeff Lacy versus Scott Pemberton, plus Rafael Marquez versus Silence Mabuza. Tomorrow at 9 p.m. It's America's Fight Night on America's #1 boxing network.
¿Ok? ¿Cómo estamos? ¿Estamos bien? ¿Ok? Vamos.
Let's go, seconds. Let's go, let's go.
We head to the 8th here in Miami, Oklahoma.
Back up, back up. Box.
Let's see Powell trying to create more offense here, but it's TerMeliksetian who's got to generate some power, because he isn't outboxing Sechew Powell. He wanted a knockout, knew he needed the knockout. Of course, neither man's been down in this fight, and TerMeliksetian's taken the worst of it.
That's it. Stop, break. Let go. Bucks.
Now it's some infighting center of the ring, and it's Powell getting the last shot in there. So those second and third shots are connecting for Sechew Powell, and he's just out punching. Certainly not overpowering TerMeliksetian, but there once again with those cleanup punches, and that right hook landed after the jab and right hook, or the left hook. TerMeliksetian moving forward here. He's got Powell in the corner. Powell definitely spins away now, middle of the rope, using his legs. His legs have carried him well in this fight. We're in the 8th, scheduled for 10.
Step back. Bucks.
Boy, I'm just surprised that Powell could be content to stand there and slug with this guy at times.
Step back.
Keep him off balance. I thought that TerMeliksetian at first showed that he was a big guy with good balance, but he hadn't really been able to get set and punch. But even when he does, it's Powell there coming back and stopping him in his tracks.
Well, you know, expectations come into play, and when a fighter's expectations aren't met, sometimes that can affect their performance. Archak was absolutely sure he was going to knock Powell out. The Powell didn't have the chin to withstand his power. That hasn't happened. Powell was absolutely sure Archak would be totally spent by now. That hasn't happened. They both had to adjust.
Yeah, that was the drama here. But I also feel that TerMeliksetian knew that he had to knock Powell out. That was the only way, that he could not box him. But he has had his moments, Steve. Nobody's been down, as you said, and you've given him how many rounds?
Well, you have it very close after 7. Powell ahead by a point.
So TerMeliksetian by no means a one-trick pony here. Got more in the bag. He can do some boxing. And now Powell's got to be careful here as TerMeliksetian tries to run him down, but there goes his little arm shots when he's got Powell in close.
Step back.
Judges love volume punching, and when they're against the ropes, Archak is doing that.
Yeah, but don't they love the quality punching over?
Well, they should. Yes, they should, but.
And I really think that the quality shots clearly have been Powell's tonight. And it's been that left hand. Powell with that right hand low now.
Time.
2 rounds to go.
The guy hit you because you stand here. While you move in the ring goes so good. What you move in the ring? Huh? Too much holding. Walk in the ring, bro. The guy coming for you, bam, bam, move him.
You gotta punch underneath. Drill your shots, man. Drill your shots, son. You got him there on the edge and you keep letting him slide away. Okay?
My wrong. Sechew, the guy fight you inside.
Mano más arriba, ¿no? Y dame ese cuerpo. Mikey, let me get that bottle of water. Cierra. ¿Cómo estamos? ¿Cómo te sientes? Tenemos 6 minutos. Tenemos que ganar cada minuto.
You need to get on him and hit him every minute.
Literally, you got to suck it up. That's exactly what Henry Cortez told him here as we head to the 9th. Tough one to score, Steve.
It has been a tough one to score.
Especially that last round.
Yeah, I have it dead even 76-76. During his better offensive moments, Archak been much busier, but a lot of the shots have been baby punches, and a lot of the shots haven't landed.
Yeah.
Powell's landed the flusher shots, as he does right there with the right hook.
Yeah, unofficially, I like Powell in this one. I haven't been keeping round-around score, but I think he's won 5 of 8. And of course, they're all 10-9 rounds. Nobody's been down in this fight. TerMeliksetian, the advertised power puncher, showing they can box as well. But Sechew Powell,
Step back.
slicker and perhaps more effective. But now he's flat-footed, just waiting, stepping back, and hoping that TerMeliksetian will run into some shots there. Now we'll see if Powell could start giving him some angles here, moving away there underneath, but trapped in the corner. And here come those little shots from TerMeliksetian. He doesn't step back and try to rifle one. He's looking to his corner.
Box.
You saw the bruised face of TerMeliksetian, the nose, the eye. So he has been getting hit. I think certainly more regularity.
Nick, this is the portion of the fight where Powell was counting on Archak being tired. Look who the guy is punching. Look who the guy is backing the other one up. I know the shots aren't that effective, But even on the inside where you think Powell would be safer, he's getting out-punched.
Steve,
Outworked anyway. I shouldn't say outpunched.
Stop, break.
Unless he's absolutely fatigued, and I don't think he is. Can he really believe he has a safe lead? I think he has a lead, but how safe could it be?
Yeah, it's a pretty close fight. And we should point out, neutral officials for Powell to come down here, as was the case in the Codrington fight. Promoter Lou DiBella wanted neutral officials. You have a judge from Texas, Oklahoma, one from Oklahoma, and one from Missouri.
Well, I would be screaming at Powell from the corner right now to get busy. He really has to get going. Unless he's just taking this round off. Well, he clearly is. Looking for openings now. He opens up both barrels and sits on the second strand.
They're getting a better shot coming from Powell, no doubt.
Step back. Box.
Yeah, but Francisco Guzman, the trainer, with some sign language from the corner. He wants combinations from his man. In other words,
stop, break.
Rev it up and get busier.
Box.
You're late in round 9, and Guzman on his instruction was really good. Respect, little stare down with 1 round to go. This guy. Miami was the unbeaten Archak TerMeliksetian won. Has never passed 6 rounds until tonight. And looks like he's going the distance. Slip in the corner, right in front of us. Powell should be finishing strong. At times. Very careful slugger. So you can't decide that. And really Powell this way.
Guy had a point. Very interesting to see the judges score this. I scored 5. Jack been Powell. Moments like this getting off. Sometimes not clean.
That was an important sequence there. Slip away and make it even closer. But he's here. Never been rocked by the power of TerMeliksetian. He lacks leverage. No shots and so strong left-hand action.
The power punches did anyone in this great good ball.
With his left hand. I've been impressed with TerMeliksetian dancing thing. Trying to box, hang this guy, knowing he might have to go 10. I think in his heart of hearts, knowing he had the guy in his face.
Is bothering you and can't do it. And we need to be the
right hand. See,
totally right answer. He's using that effectively.
congratulations on both sides.
We all team representative. That's right. Not perfect, need some work, but we're going to do it.
And a real shot attack.
Very good. You did a good job. Very good job. Think they can take that?
Yeah, the right hand, we just got official confirmation from Powell's corner that he did hurt his right hand. Don't know how early in the fight. No excuse, it's just fact, it seems like.
You're not hurting anywhere.
No, I'm good.
Okay, good. Goodbye.
Dr. David Lovelace checking out both boxers.
Martin, when he was Tommy.
I'm proud of you.
Emma.
Okay, now we've corrected that. Al Mitchell says the left hand about midway through.
A little lumpy is all good. It's part of the business.
You can't let him lean his head on.
Yeah, I stayed in there too long.
Powell really didn't throw that left as much. If you think about it down the stretch.
You know, in the 10th round he did, and he landed some solid shots. Not as much as he would have liked, though.
So the fight in these judges' hands. Gerald Ritter, who refereed the first bout. Oren Schellenberger and Jerry Griffin. Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas here. Powell unbeaten. TerMeliksetian once beaten. And let's look at down the stretch action here, 10th round.
I'd like to have seen a little bit more of a sense of urgency from both guys in this 10th round, but Powell stationary a little bit too much in this fight. Gave TerMeliksetian, hey, I got it right. Gave Archak a lot of room to punch and a lot of time to punch. But again, Powell landing the cleaner shots throughout the fight, and the cleaner shots from a distance, which are easier shots for judges to see.
Steve, I thought Powell again clearly won the fight, but again, unofficially, I didn't have it anyway. I thought TerMeliksetian had his moments, definitely, and had his chances.
Don't worry about the eye. I can't, the hand
But,
is the one that worries
hey,
about.
the suspense is over because we're going to find out right now.
No, you want to talk to one of these. Yeah, you want
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to our judges' decision. Judge Schellenberger scored the fight 97-93. Judge Griffin scored the fight 100-90. Judge Ritter scored the fight 97-93. Our winner by unanimous decision, Sechew Powell.
Wow. Certainly not a shock there, but 100-90 is, what were they looking at in that one? Archak TerMeliksetian deserved better in that instance. 100-91, Judge gave it, Steve.
I had it 96-94, and two of the judges had it 97-93. That seems reasonable. They went for the fact that Powell landed the cleanest shots throughout. They were unimpressed by Archak's busy style on the inside, and Powell probably should have fought on the inside a lot less in this fight, or could have been more effective on the inside than he was, but he got away with it.
There we see Powell as he moves on. The 26-year-old moves to 18-0. Still 11 KOs because TerMeliksetian was very much around here for the finish. But again, Al Mitchell in the corner said that Powell hurt his hand midway through this fight, his left hand, which was his most effective weapon. Certainly the early stages of this fight, and even down the stretch at times, hurt or not. So Sechew Powell, pretty polished performance. As we see him still in the ring, and the guy walking past us, obviously dejected, Archak TerMeliksetian. And before, Steve, we address the winner here, I want to ask you about the loser. Going into this fight, well, let's look at Powell again.
Not the best, but we
yeah,
took
he
it.
was in one, 10 rounds.
Not the best, but we took it.
Not the best, but he'll take it.
Well, it's a real big win for Powell because it's very, very bad for a young fighter to get a reputation that he might have a weak chin. And in two fights on Shobox, two previous fights against Grady Brewer and against Bundridge in the double knockdown fight, Powell got dropped. And here he fights the biggest puncher of his career to date, never gets hurt. That says so much, and it'll start dispelling what might be a myth that he has a weak chin. So in that sense, he went 10 rounds with a big puncher and certainly survived it. Big win for Sechew Powell. He is 1.5 fights, to quote his handlers, away from fighting a top 10 contender.
Steve, very quickly on TerMeliksetian. Going in, we talked to him at the meetings, and they said flat out, if we lose this fight, we're just another opponent. Do you believe that?
You know, he grew a lot in this fight.
I
That's
agree.
the funny thing, because here's a puncher who had never been past 6 rounds and looked dreadful in his one previous loss. He looked a lot better this time. I wouldn't call him a trial horse at this time, but the fact that he couldn't beat Powell, he's not a top prospect anymore either.
Well, 2 unbeaten fighters came out of this tonight, and one of them went down. Jaidon Codrington, we want to update you. The fight for him was over in 22 seconds as Allan Green launched a brutal assault on him, knocking him out 18 seconds into the fight. We want to update you. Jaidon Codrington taken to the hospital, suffered a fracture of his 6th vertebrae. He's okay. They expect full recovery. Whether he will box again, I would certainly not hazard a guess right now. This, according to Lou DiBella, the promoter of Jaidon Codrington, a devastating moment here in Miami, Oklahoma. There was chaos in the ring, a lot of emotions boiling over, but very scary.
Nick, it was a very scary moment. I was very aggravated because all that matters in a moment like that is the fighter's health. Come on, this is not the first fighter that's been hurt badly in a ring. Get the hell out of the ring and let the doctors do their job. That's one point. The other point, unfortunately, the emphasis is obviously on Codrington's health and not on the fact that Green's victory pales right now. It's not all that important, but it was a sensational win for Allan Green, and he's a sensational prospect now at 168 pounds. But again, the emphasis has to be on Jaidon Codrington's health.
Absolutely. So recapping the night, Allan Green remains undefeated. Jaidon Codrington in the hospital right now. A shocking display, brutal assault. Codrington never knew what hit him. And the answer was Allan Green.
Yeah, Nick, and how precious a fighter's prime is. Codrington comes in as a tremendous prospect, and now we don't even know if he'll ever fight again.
Our 10-round main event, Sechew Powell showed technique, patience, sometimes too much patience, took some chances, and let that injured left hand go to take out Archak TerMeliksetian, winning unanimous decision.
Boy, have we just seen Powell grow up on Shobox. He's becoming a very classy southpaw boxer, and now he's a hardened 10-round fighter ready to take on a contender.
Final reminder, tomorrow night is America's Fight Night on Showtime. In the headliner, super middleweight champion Jeff Lacey defends his IBF belt against number 5 contender Scott Pemberton. And the explosive co-feature, IBF bantamweight champ Rafael Marquez collides with top contender Silence Mabuza. Showtime Championship Boxing tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. And Shobox returns in 2 weeks with a New England showdown. Undefeated Chad Dawson of Connecticut faces Shobox alum Ian Gardner of Brockton, Mass. in a 12-round super middleweight bout. Friday night, November 18th, 11 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Then, on December 2nd, the Ghost returns to Shobox as undefeated featherweight sensation Robert Guerrero makes his 3rd appearance when he faces Gamaliel Diaz. And that'll do it for another edition of Shobox The New Generation. The executive producer of Shobox is Gordon Hall. Shobox is produced by Richard Gaughan and directed by Philip Murray. So for Steve Farhood and our entire crew, this is Nick Charles saying, so long, everybody from Oklahoma. We'll see you in 2 weeks in New Haven, Connecticut.
America's Fight Night is on Showtime on the first Saturday of every month. Tomorrow, it's the most powerful, most dominant fighter in the super middleweight division. Undefeated champion Jeff Lacey. Now he makes his 4th title defense against the number 1 contender Scott Pemberton. Jeff Lacey versus Scott Pemberton, plus Rafael Marquez versus Silence Mabuza. Tomorrow at 9 p.m. It's America's Fight Night on America's #1 boxing network.